how did you come up with the idea? Like you said, it started because you were sharing your experience about leaving the practice and joining tech, and then you started Tyler Tactics. I'm curious, how did you why LinkedIn? And also, like, you are very, very popular on the platform. I mean, I found you too somehow through the
Yeah.
platform.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
so how did you start just for fun, and then did you start digging in more into how could you reach more people, or was it just a natural talent that the way you deliver information it's the right one for the platform?
I think it's a combination of like all it's a little bit of a combination of all of those things, right? So I started it was a little bit for fun, or just like out of curiosity. Like I wonder, I wonder what happens if I start posting on LinkedIn, right? So I chose LinkedIn actually because it's a more business oriented platform. I actually don't have. I might begin opening up, Tyler Tactics profiles for other platforms. I haven't yet. I've basically been on LinkedIn for 2 years, kind of like building that up, and maybe now I can take what I've learned and apply it to other platforms. I have no idea. But I started with LinkedIn actually because when I started working at Monograph, my manager at the time was saying, "Oh, you all should try to begin posting on LinkedIn and see if see if that could be a good resource for you, because it ultimately is where business decisions are made." And I think LinkedIn even has this crazy stat on their homepage that says something like 80% of people that are actively on LinkedIn are decision makers. And by decision makers, meaning like there's someone that's in control of some kind of budget and will be making a decision like with that budget. Right. So I think LinkedIn is more professionally oriented, which is great if you have a business mission in mind. Right. So that's originally why I started on LinkedIn. And then I kind of approached it, I'd say pretty strategically. Right. So I looked at people that were already doing well on LinkedIn. And I looked at people that were doing well on Twitter as well, because Twitter is kind of easier to search.
Can you
So
make
just
some
to
examples of those people that you started looking
like
at?
Justin Welsh, right? Justin Welsh is someone that does really well on LinkedIn. If you don't know who that is, he actually has a LinkedIn course, which I ended up taking just before I started posting on LinkedIn. That I would recommend. It's very good. And then if you're looking on Twitter, I mean, Justin Welsh is actually doing is actually doing really well on Twitter as well. But it's not so important. I don't think the specific examples are important, because what you should do is you should jump onto LinkedIn and you should jump on to Twitter and you can jump onto Instagram and just see, like, as you're scrolling, which posts are capturing your attention, right? That's the first thing, is like what's capturing my attention, and then the next thing is why is that capturing my attention, and then how is it capturing my attention, right? And so you do have to like kind of strategically analyze this work. And so I did kind of start there. I said, who is already doing this well, and what can I learn from what they're doing? And so I began understanding the best ways to kind of format your ideas, right, on LinkedIn. And there's a lot of mistakes around people kind of just like having an idea and then just posting a giant paragraph about it, which just isn't easy to consume or to scan or anything like that, right? So what they're saying might actually be incredible. It might be very valuable, but no one's going to read it because it's not easy to scan, or it's not broken down in a way that's easy to consume, right? So what you're saying is just as important as how it's being presented when it comes to social media. And so for me, I began to kind of test different modes. I have carousels that I use now, and I have only text posts, and I have just single image posts, and I've tried videos. And so, it's a combination of consistency, it's a combination of testing, it's a combination of then analyzing and then just repeating that process over and over and over. If you actually like want to like grow, if that's your goal. I think LinkedIn is an incredible opportunity for architects to begin posting on that. I'm actually building a course right now that's specific to architects, to help them grow on LinkedIn, to understand how they can, convert content into followers, into clients, as well for their practice. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity there, and it's high value opportunity. I think it's higher value, it's higher intent than what you're going to get on other platforms like Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, where people are more like casually browsing. But LinkedIn, people are generally there for business purposes, right? They want to become better at something, or they might be like using LinkedIn to specifically look for an architect, for example.
In your experience, like for example, how often do you post on LinkedIn? And also the difficulties I have, for example, personally, as someone that can relate to content creation, is that it's difficult to come up always with something smart. And it's also difficult to overcome your imposters. I suffer imposter syndrome sometimes, where I
Yeah.
think, I don't know, isn't it douchey to write this thing now, or isn't it? Am I the right person, or do I have the background to post this? And then sometimes to overcome it, I just think, okay, worst case scenario, not gonna perform well, or can delete it and stuff like that.
Right.
How do you approach this? How often do you post? How do you come up with ideas? Do you pre-plan all your posts for a while? How do you do? Also, you have very nice layouts for your posts. So
Thanks.
what kind of tools do you use? All this process on making actually the posts?
Yeah. I post once a day, every morning at 8:06 Eastern time a.m. It's what time my posts always go out. I use Canva to create like any designed post, although I really don't recommend that you start with that. And this is part of these are part of the things that I plan on diving really deep into in the LinkedIn course. But because it does take a lot, this is another common mistake that I see. People begin posting on LinkedIn and they start right with like creating very elaborate posts, like poster images or carousels that are pretty well designed. And you can tell like it took someone a long time, but actually doesn't get any engagement. Right. And so I don't think that you should start there. I think that you should probably just start with like text-based posts, because then at least you're beginning to understand what ideas people are most attracted to. And then once you understand what those ideas are, then you can begin like putting in more time and effort into creating, like image posts or carousel posts or things like that. But I don't see any point in putting in like the effort, the additional effort required to do those things until you understand what's working and what isn't. I use content. I use a strategy called a content matrix, which actually, if you sign up for Tayler Tactics, you can access immediately. Let me pull it up really quick while I'm on this call with you to tell you exactly which one to look at. So I've been doing this for over a year. Tayler Tactics number 38, and I'll send this to you after we get off this call too, so you can have it. But I use what's called a content matrix to generate endless ideas. Literally, there's endless ideas that can be created from it. This is where I come whenever I kind of like, whenever my scheduled posts are beginning to run out, I return back to my content matrix and I begin generating ideas for content again. I use the same thing to create like newsletter content a lot as well. But I think it's also important to have an easy way to capture your ideas when they come to mind. So I use Notion to do that, right? If I ever have an idea that comes to mind, I can pull up Notion, or I can send something to Notion so that I can keep it there for later and return to it when I am like ready to begin generating ideas again.
And do you do all your posts like in a batch way of working? Like, for example, let's say you sit on a Saturday and you make 10 posts and then you're good to go for a while. Or do you do a little bit every day? When do you do it? Because I mean, you work, you have a family. So this is also a problem that everyone has.
Yeah. Time is very limited. I know that if I can do it, then I'm sure that other people can do it, because I have a full-time job. I have Tayler Tactics. I'm a strategic advisor for another startup. I have 2 kids, a dog, and a wife. So I think you can probably do it if I can do it. So I usually do the batch posting. Yep. I typically on Fridays or Saturdays, I'll sit down for a few hours, depending on how much, like how successful the previous kind of content generation was. I can usually do 1 to 2 weeks when I sit down for a couple of hours. I can produce 1 to 2 weeks worth of content pretty quickly and easily at this point. And so I'll kind of batch that together, and then at that same time, I'll begin like writing the newsletter as well. So I kind of like I usually do that. I usually devote like one entire day to Tyler Tactics, and that is a combination of generating content. It's a combination of working on my course, and it's a combination of writing the newsletter content as well.